Minecraft has many different mobs, with each of them having a certain chance of spawning. So today we'll be looking at the rarest mobs to possibly spawn in the game, ending in ones you've probably never even heard of. Now we're all familiar with chickens, pigs, and zombies, but what if you combine them all together, making the zombie pickin', a mob created by a bug in the game. When a chicken jockey would spawn, a pig would get glitched into riding the same chicken as the zombie, creating this extremely rare and weird mob that actually makes it pretty difficult to kill, but not as difficult as fighting this special spider. You see, depending on how long you spend in a chunk, there's a low chance for spiders to spawn with these potion effects, and has a roughly 2% chance for an invisible spider to spawn, which is definitely the scariest spider you could come by. But these are just the beginning of the rarest mobs. You see, horses are one of the most used ways to travel in Minecraft, but at times they can get pretty slow. However, you don't need to worry, because there's a 1 in 8 million chance that a horse will spawn with a little bit of extra power, allowing it to travel over 14.5 blocks a second, which is 3 times faster than a player normally running. This is a killer chicken that existed in only one single version, where when it would look at you, it would automatically start attacking, and also had the ability to spawn reinforcements. Even though it can't fully be found in newer versions, part of it still exists in the current game, which we'll get into a little bit later. Now, the pink sheep is seen as the rarest sheep in the game, having a 0.16% chance of spawning. However, there's a sheep that's even rarer. The baby pink sheep has a 0.008% chance of spawning, which makes it 20 times rarer than the normal pink sheep, taking the crown for the true rarest sheep you can find in the game. Piglins and hoglins are enemies, which is why a piglin has a 15% chance to hunt a hoglin, and after killing one has a 10% chance to become a dancing piglin to celebrate and really show off who's the stronger mob. Now, fish in Minecraft work differently than any other mob in the game. This is because when a tropical fish spawns, there's a 10% chance that their pattern, size, and colors are completely random, which makes over 3,500 visually distinct variants. However, no tropical fish will naturally spawn with the color black, making the all black variant the rarest fish you could have. Now, we all know skeletons have the ability to spawn with pieces of armor on, but what are the chances of a skeleton spawning wearing full diamond armor? I created a skeleton farm that spawns hundreds of skeletons per hour to see how rare this mob truly is and how scared you should actually be of encountering one. But as this will take a very long time to see, we'll check back on this later. Earlier, we talked about how piglins and hoglins are enemies. However, baby piglins and hoglins are not, which is why there's a small chance for a baby piglin to ride a baby hoglin, but has an extremely rare possibility for 3 baby piglins to stack riding the same hoglin. However, this still won't stop a normal piglin from hunting the hoglin. And if you thought finding this was rare, then we're just getting started. This is an evil iron golem that will attack its own villagers. You see, after beating a raid, villagers will set off fireworks, and if a firework explodes near and damages their iron golem, it will now be aggravated towards them and could wipe out the entire village. However, the chances of this happening are extremely low. When fighting a zombie, there's a chance you may be fighting a leader. Leader zombies have a 5% chance of spawning and have the ability to summon reinforcements when fighting a player, which was inspired by the killer chicken and its same ability to summon more chickens. Just imagine finding a chicken jockey of both of these mobs. Now, it is a known feature that naming a sheep Jeb underscore will make it cycle through colors, but this fully rainbow sheep also existed in the game. You could find this mob only in Minecraft Earth and had about a 1.7% chance of getting one, but rarer than this was the melon golem, a melon variant of the snow golem that would shoot melon seeds and had a 1.1% chance of spawning. But by far the rarest of them all was the skeleton wolf that had a 0.2% chance of getting it, and unlike the normal wolf, it wouldn't attack skeletons. Striders can be ridden by players, but there's also a 10% chance that a strider will ride another strider, making a double strider. However, this feature applies to every single strider, which means you can technically find a never-ending, infinitely long tower of striders, but the chances of seeing one of these are nearly impossible. And a rare only 1.2% of you guys are actually subscribed. So if you can subscribe, I would really really appreciate it. Now checking back in on the skeletons, over 1,000 have spawned, but so far none with diamond armor. However, we have found a different rare mob, the left-handed skeleton. You see, 89% of skeletons hold their bow in the right hand, but 11 hold it in their left hand, which is actually based on the real life statistic. But this isn't the only rare mob based on real life. The blue axolotl is seen as the rarest axolotl in the game, having a 1 in 1,200 chance of spawning, which is based on how many real axolotls are left in the world. But there's still an axolotl that's even rarer. This is the open mouth axolotl that existed in only one snapshot as a possible axolotl idea. However, it was then removed in the next update. For now, we're getting into some of the nearly impossible mobs to find, because to come across a natural charged creeper, you need to be in a thunderstorm, then have a lightning strike on the exact same block a creeper is standing on, making it charged. The chances of this happening are about 1 in 25,600,000. You are more likely to get struck by lightning 2 times in real life than encountering this mob, which is probably why it's the strongest and one of the scariest mobs in the game. But Mojang wanted to change that and made a version of the creeper smiling, as well as a nerd creeper and a diamond chicken, which lays lapis and diamonds. But these mobs were only in the game for 1 day, which would make coming across one of them in your world extremely unlikely. The only way to spawn a snow golem is by a player building one, but this isn't entirely true, because Enderman can pick up 21 different blocks, including a carved pumpkin, which means if it just happens to place one on 2 natural snow blocks, it will actually spawn its own snow golem. But the chances of this happening are 1 in 5 trillion. This is a villager chicken jockey. The only way to get this mob is by finding a zombie villager jockey from an abandoned village and then curing the zombie into a normal villager, which will then create one of the weirdest looking mobs in the game. Over 30,000 skeletons have spawned and finally found a full diamond armor skeleton, which gives this about a 0.003% chance of spawning. Safe to say, you probably don't need to worry about finding one of these in your world. Now on Bedrock Edition, baby zombies have a small chance to ride other mobs, the rarest being the rare brown panda. So now take a baby husk riding a brown panda wearing full enchanted diamond armor and an iron sword. The chances of finding this are about 1 in 3.5 trillion and is currently the rarest mob you can find in Bedrock Edition. But now this mob is a zombie villager jockey wearing full enchanted diamond armor and enchanted iron sword, is left-handed and wearing a pumpkin, which only happens on Halloween and can only be found in an abandoned village. The chances of finding this mob is 1 in 66 followed by 96 zeros, or this percent, which makes this the rarest mob you can find in all of Minecraft.